Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Since the Superman movie has been released, James Gunn has revealed a number of alternate endings, deleted scenes, alternate post-credit scenes in the movie. He's talked about future Batman a lot. Everybody's wondering, where was Batman during this movie? There are a couple references where they do get into Batman-related stuff during the film that I'll talk about. David Corenswet has also revealed more about his Superman sequels, what's going on with Superman 2, what's going on with the Supergirl movie, other upcoming DC movies. James Gunn has also talked about doing a World's Finest Batman and Superman movie. We already know that Superman is going to return in a couple upcoming TV shows and movies too that James Gunn has revealed, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a lot to talk about, and a lot of stuff that got cut out of this movie. The original cut of the movie is over 4 hours long. There's that much stuff, so I'll explain what got deleted and some of the stuff that we'll be learning about over the next couple of weeks. Careful for spoilers for the movie if you have not seen it yet, but most of this video is talking about stuff that got cut out of the movie, deleted scenes, so technically that's not really spoilers if it's not in the actual movie. Probably the biggest Batman Easter egg that James Gunn did leave in the final version of the movie was during the final evacuation when Lex Luthor had opened the dimensional rift and began splitting Metropolis in half, and everybody starts evacuating the city, just like getting the hell out of Dodge. As one of the buildings is falling, and this was a really big scene in all the trailers, Superman catches it, saving the woman before it destroys the bridge, allowing her to get out of the city. The bridge that they're all using to escape, that he's trying to save from being destroyed here, has a bunch of signs showing that a lot of these people are all heading to Gotham to evacuate, and Gotham City is right next to Metropolis, like it was during Zack Snyder's DCEU in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and so on. The funny thing here is that inside the DC universe, it's kind of like going from the frying pan into the fire, but to be fair, there is a dimensional rift literally ripping Metropolis in half like he's unzipping a zipper. So even all the Batman villains are probably just glued to their TVs watching Lex Luthor slowly destroy Metropolis off the map. Right before the movie came out, James Gunn also revealed it had an entirely different alternate ending that some of his collaborators behind the scenes convinced him that was way too dark and way too crazy and just didn't fit with the overall hopeful vibe of the ending of the movie as he had originally wanted it to be.
And in discussing one of them, Drew Goddard was like, you know what? It's just not that film. It's not that film with this little dark ending bit. That line that he said stuck with me for the rest of editing.
Like the scenes of Millie Alcock's Supergirl showing up drunk to pick up Krypto, tease her movie, Superman's home movies of his childhood and him smiling in the end frame there, Krypto and Superman on the moon in the mid-credits, him and Mr. Terrific in the post-credit scene joking about how Metropolis is crooked forever now. All meant to be funnier, lighter scenes, mostly just jokes and references to things that happened earlier in the movie, as opposed to regular Marvel-style post-credit scenes that set up the next big movie. He actually said it was Drew Goddard specifically who created the original Daredevil Netflix series. He was also working on the Sinister Six movie for Sony during the Andrew Garfield era. There were just like a lot of things that he's worked on in the comic book space in general. Based on what James Gunn said, the deleted post-credit scene, deleted scenes from the end of the movie, spent more time setting up the future movie or more traditional Marvel-style post-credit scenes with some of the other hanging plot threads like Lex Luthor in Belle Rev prison. What is he going to do next? Billionaires do not stay in prison for long. He's getting out one way or another. What's going on in Gotham City right now? That was a really big teaser. How is Batman reacting to this big disaster? Because this whole moment here of what they actually left in the movie feels a lot like Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman vibes. If you remember, the beginning of that movie directly addressed Batman's side of the ending of the Man of Steel movie with the Kryptonian fight, Superman versus Zod, all that collateral damage. In that movie, Gotham City was also right next to Metropolis, I think much closer to Metropolis than it is in James Gunn's DCU, like there's a little more distance between the two of them. But it's still right there, that's why the street sign specifically calls it out. In the earlier movie, Superman had inadvertently killed a ton of people with that collateral damage, including a lot of Wayne Enterprises people Bruce Wayne was friends with, setting up his whole rivalry with Superman for the rest of that movie. James Gunn made it sound like at a certain point when he was making the Superman movie, he decided to punt a lot of his Batman-related stuff till much later in other movies and series. Let's let them deal with that. We know for sure he hasn't actually cast anyone to play his new Batman in Brave and the Bold. Right now, just based on all the different things that he's said and that Matt Reeves has said, my low-level conspiracy theory about that is that he's just waiting to let Matt Reeves' Batman 2 play out with Robert Pattinson. He doesn't want to trample on that or affect any potential box office success. Like, he's just letting it all happen. Like, okay, we'll see how this goes.
I've contemplated it. Yeah, we've contemplated it.
And because that's still a couple years away from getting released, a lot can change in a couple years. Like, it has been absolute chaos at Warner Brothers the past couple of years. Just imagine what a couple more years can happen. So it just makes more sense for James Gunn to wait and see what happens with Robert Pattinson's Batman, and his plan to cast a totally different Batman can always change. Because when people ask him right now, is Robert Pattinson going to be your Batman in the DCU? He says, well, right now, keywords, right now, that's not the plan, meaning that the plan can change at any time. That is the very slippery way that everybody in Hollywood who's successful talks, just because things change constantly behind the scenes. He also said that we won't actually see an actor playing Batman in a DCU production, canon production, before Batman Brave and the Bold. That movie's meant to introduce that character into the DCU. So anytime they show Batman before that, like Creature Commandos, there's a big cameo scene, it'll be just like that in the background, Easter eggs level, other characters referencing him. So Batman is active right now in the DCU. He's been active for a long time. There'll be a lot more Gotham City references, like in the Superman movie, just more world building in general. Then there's all the Batman Superman World's Finest sequel movies that James Gunn's been talking about. We'll get into that in a second after I talk about the deleted scenes. So there are a couple other real big deleted scenes that he already revealed pretty early on, and some of the other characters have revealed. Two of them were Krypto fight scenes, or longer versions of Krypto fight scenes in the movie. One was a much longer separate scene that they totally cut. First one was during the scene of Lex breaking into the Fortress of Solitude when they start attacking the Kryptonian robots, and Krypto comes out and starts ripping up the engineer's face. The actress who plays the engineer said that she originally had a much longer, more violent scene of her punching, hurting Krypto during that fight. Most of that they all cut out in the final mix. Like in the theatrical cut, when you go see it in theaters, it's just a quick shot of her throwing her nanites around his head to trap him. They take him back to the pocket dimension, begin studying him, so Lex Luthor can just learn more details about Kryptonian biology and DNA. They actually said they got rid of that scene because test audiences freaked out when they saw the engineer hurting the dog. Apparently, all the killing in the movie, like all the other violence, was no big deal. But there's just something about hurting dogs that is unforgivable to your average test audience member across the world. This isn't just a United States thing, this is all over the world. The same thing actually happened during Will Smith's I Am Legend when they killed the dog in that movie. Audiences freaked out in theaters. The movie also had predicted Batman v Superman many years before they'd had the idea to actually make it in the Zack Snyder universe. That's one of the other big reasons why people remember that movie. Oh yeah, they called out Batman v Superman many years before it actually happened. Next really big deleted scene was also Krypto scene, but this got removed wholesale. Inside the pocket dimension, Eve Tessmacher later tells Jimmy she watched Lex torture Krypto. So this will sound familiar, like, I understand why this got removed. They actually filmed a scene, it was Ultraman who was torturing Krypto while Lex studied him with the other scientists. So it was basically Ultraman messing up Krypto, and it got removed for the exact same reason the earlier Krypto fight scene was removed. People flipped out seeing all the violence against the dog. There were also a lot of much longer versions of scenes that got removed, mostly because of jokes and comedy that didn't land. There were a lot of little silly scenes that you probably saw in the trailers, good examples of these that got cut. One of the first big ones was when Clark Kent first comes to the Daily Planet for work, right after the Hammer Baravia fight scene. Steve Lombard calls him a loser, and he's like, oh hey Steve, how's it going? But in the deleted scene that we saw in the trailers, Clark also fires back at him, calling Lombard a loser. There was a longer scene of Cat Grant talking to Lois Lane about her new mystery boyfriend. It just went on for much longer. There were more Green Lantern comedic scenes of Nathan Fillion just being way more goofy with Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific. Some of these scenes will probably make it onto the Blu-ray when they release it on home video later, but most of the deleted scenes were just James Gunn tightening the movie so that the pace moved quicker to the next big action scene, and it was slightly less goofy. Like, the movie itself is still very goofy. There are also a lot of other smaller scenes that got cut too. For example, Michael Rosenbaum's big cameo scene was as Raptor #1. That's what he's credited as. He's like the leader of Lex Luthor's Raptors in the armor suits during the movie. The first time you heard his voice, you probably picked this up if you see it a couple different times in the theaters, is when Mr. Terrific shows up with Lois Lane at their camp and puts the beat down on all of them. There was just a much longer version of that scene where Michael Rosenbaum had a couple extra lines of dialogue, like he just kept talking to Mr. Terrific as they start to actually fight.
Guess you decided to help.
Hell yeah.
There were longer versions of the scenes of Superman and Metamorpho inside the Pocket Universe when he was still trapped, more dialogue from all the different characters in the background too, mostly a lot of background scenes, like there were cells of people all over that place, but because it was so dark, you can barely see them in the background. There was just a lot more of them featuring what was going on in this Pocket Universe that they probably felt like were just unnecessary Easter eggs, like we don't need to over-explain what's going on in here. When Lex Luthor is supposed to come back in the next couple of movies and TV shows, they can just have him wielding different artifacts or different weapons or different things that he used inside the Pocket Dimension. When it comes to Superman 2, James Gunn said that the movie that he's currently writing right now for the DCU is not a direct Superman sequel. He's going to wait a little bit longer before doing something like that. It won't be like a every 2 years Superman movie kind of situation. David Corenswet did say that he was already under contract for Superman 2, so like there already has been plans for a Superman 2 sequel. For people that were salty that Henry Cavill did not get Man of Steel 2, there was a reason for that behind the scenes. Batman v Superman was meant to be Man of Steel 2 originally, until the studio panicked and was like, no, we want our Justice League, ramp up to that way faster, put Batman in this movie, and then basically it turned into more of a Batman movie in general. The funny thing about that is that James Gunn has also talked about doing a World's Finest Batman-Superman team-up movie. Obviously, the vibes of that movie very different because World's Finest is different from Batman vs. Superman. But you kind of get the idea. It's very similar to what Zack Snyder did inside the DCEU. Basically, put Batman and Superman in a movie together, and that might happen before Superman 2 actually gets released. We will see if they wind up letting Matt Reeves do the Batman 3. I think that'll have a lot to do with whether or not Robert Pattinson stays on even longer as Batman and comes into the DCU. What'll probably happen next, James Gunn teased that there was going to be a big, quote-unquote, very big cameo scene in Peacemaker. That's probably going to be Superman, all because they already revealed the Justice Gang scene with Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Maxwell Lord in Peacemaker Season 2. Like it was in the first big trailer.
Excuse me? You were talking about your butt and stuff? And also you said that I suck.
So the special cameo scene is a secret character, and it's probably going to wind up being Superman. Most people have been theorizing, probably going to be Superman showing up at the end of that, because Peacemaker's whole cameo in the Superman movie was spouting off conspiracy theories about his secret harem, so there'll probably be some harem jokes during Peacemaker Season 2. Just imagine Superman showing up at the end of that to bookend all those, like he actually does have a face-to-face meeting with Peacemaker, where Peacemaker just craps himself. There are a couple other big Green Lantern videos that I'm working on for later this weekend and next weekend, where I'll talk about what's going on with Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner in the Justice Gang, Justice League-related stuff, because their literal headquarters in the movie are at the Hall of Justice, which will become the Justice League's main base. It's still under construction. There are a bunch of murals inside there depicting other big DC characters, so I will do videos for all that stuff soon. I know there are a lot of questions about Jason Momoa coming back as Lobo in the Supergirl movie. We will probably get a much bigger Supergirl trailer by the end of the year because that's the next big DC Studios movie that's coming out next summer in 2026 as of me posting this video. There's a pretty good chance that they'll put him in that first big trailer just because they want all the hype. Now everybody's going to start asking about the Flash in the DCU. Like, where was the Flash when all this was going on? Even Grant Gustin in real life was going on about how much he liked the Superman movie. And because, big reminder, we have the Fantastic Four movie coming out in a couple weeks from Marvel. It's going to be a big summer this July. There are a couple new trailers they have released with a lot more Galactus and Franklin Richards talk, so I'll do videos for that too separately between all the Superman videos, Green Lantern, Justice League videos. Make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Click here for my full Superman breakdown of the entire movie with all the Easter eggs and references, and click here for my Superman post-credit scene video and all my other Superman videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.